What's up, Team Starlight? Over this past weekend, we had our first ever Team Starlight Edison tournament, which very cutely abbreviates to T-Set, which is a fun little quirk of our name. Anyway, so today we're going to go over the top 8 deck lists that appeared at this event. But before we do that, Declan has worked really hard on these amazing slides that are going to show different analytics and the meta report and just interesting, cool cards that we saw occur during this event. So why don't you take it away, Declan? Let's start with the meta report.
Hello, hello. Okay, so we had 121 signups for this event and 72 one entrants that showed up on the day of the tournament, and the most popular deck was Frogs. 14 players played Frogs, but surprisingly, zero topped. I'm very disappointed in the Frog community that showed up as a dedicated Frog player, but another really interesting thing was there was 7 others, and I have on the next slide some intel on what those other decks were. But apart from Frogs being the most popular, we had 10 Value Turbo, 9 Machina, which surprisingly passed Black Wings, which is very, very interesting. And then 7 Lightsworn, as I said, 7 other, 6 Glad Beasts, and then a few other decks here at the bottom that you can see. Some of the deck specific details include of Lightsworns, we had 4 Twilight and 3 Christia Sworn, and 0 Pure, which is shocking because the last time we had a tournament, Pure was the most popular variant at the time, but now 0 people are interested in that. Of the Frogs, we had 11 Hero Frogs, 2 Frog OTK or Forgs, and 1 Frog Monarch. And then finally, of the 10 Vayu Turbos, we had 7 regular Hamster Raikou Caius Vayu Turbo decks and 3 Nitro Vayu, which we may see come up later in some of the top deck lists. For those other decks, we had 2 X-Sabers, one of which was Keegan piloting X-Sabers himself. We had 1 Spellcasters, 1 Fusion Heroes, 1 Psychic, 1 Macro Stun, and 1 Chaos Stun, which, spoiler alert, did kind of well. Macro, I know someone said that they played this for you, was dedicated to you.
Yeah, he came up to me and was like, "Hey man, I brought this for you, bud." And I was like, "Oh no." I had to that's not me. That's not me. I don't do that.
He ruined a
So
couple people's day. I know I ran into a few people that said I lost to Macro Stun. So,
it's yeah. It's a dangerous deck. It cooks many of the meta decks, especially the Frogs, which is probably why we didn't see Frogs. A lot of these decks Gladiator Beast, even the Chaos Stun, even these Twilight decks, main decking Crows and Kaikus and stuff, were probably just so destructive to the Frogs. And I can totally see that everyone was worried about Frogs, and rightfully so. They were the majority of the decks. But man, they were all ready for Frogs.
for the top 10 side deck cards, it was pretty standard. We had Dust Tornado, Cyber Dragon, DD Crow, Pulling the Rug, Fossil Dyna, Royal Oppression, Vortex, Vanity's Fiend, Kaiku, and Consecrated Light. This is in terms of copies in side decks. So, Dust Tornado, we always expect to see that. Crow. I was a little surprised that Lightning Vortex was so high up here because usually people just play one. Sometimes people play none, but I guess a lot of people in the room had at least one copy of this in their side.
Yeah, a lot of frog hate in this top 10 side deck choices, so maybe that's another reason why we didn't see any make it to top cut. Everyone was just so ready for them.
The last time we had a slightly big tournament, Soul Release made a huge appearance in everyone's side decks. This time around, not even in the top 10. So I'm wondering if Kaiku became like the new Soul Release for this particular tournament. So that's kind of awesome to see that it kind of changes a little bit. But for the most part, these are pretty expected cards to see in the side deck.
And guys, stick around towards the end. We will showcase some of the craziest techs in the room. But first, without further ado, let's get into the top 8 deck lists. Starting out in 5th, or this is 8th through 5th really, so it's all kind of interchangeable. We had Michael on Machina Control.
Yo, shout out the boy, Michael. I love this dude. I gave him a ride home from an RBT, so we talked for like an hour straight. It was super chill. He's been piloting Machina for a while now. It's a pretty standard Machina deck. I personally like to call it March. I've been trying to make it a thing. I'm trying to make fetch happen out here. Machina, Avarice, Raikou, Caius, Hamster. Let's make it a thing, please, for me. But this one in particular, the big notable standout unique choices in his main deck were the Lila. The Lila's not too commonly seen, but it came in super clutch for him, especially in the feature match, and limiter removal, which a lot of machine players don't usually run for some reason, and I don't get why. George was one telling me about the math. George, you want to do the
Dude,
math about it?
we talked about this on stream because I'm also in the same area of like limiter removal in Machina is essentially a 2.5 card OTK because if you have Gear Frame, Search Fortress, and as long as you have a way to get that fortress on the field, maybe you have one engrave and you search Force instead, you play limiter removal and that's just game, you know? So that's 8,600 in one turn. And to me, that feels like you play 3 Gear Frame, so that's obviously going to come up very often. No, I think that limiter removal is just like it's like just like brain control, where it's an auto win button, and I really feel like, you know, when you think of other Hamster Echo Caius decks like Vayu Turbo, they have their auto win button cards like Return and Darkarm Dragon, and I feel like to get machines to that level, limiter removal just seems like one of those cards that you should be playing.
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
that even when you go in direct, if they happen to have the gores, you can just equip the gear frame to the fortress and then it doesn't die. So like the downside is like mitigated a little bit when that happens. So yeah, I agree with you guys. It should be played.
But overall, pretty standard. I mean, not like not standard, but you know what I mean. Like this is nothing we haven't seen too much before. Just proud of you, Michael. It's really dope that you were able to pull this off. Some things to note though, obviously Transmigration Prophecy is an interesting side deck addition instead of like 2 crows. And I think Transmigration Prophecy is actually kind of a cool choice because you could put back like a Raikou that if you run out of Raikous, or like put back your own like Machinas if you need to, while simultaneously hitting 2 cards in your opponent's grave. So I wonder how strong that was for him. We didn't really see it in the feature matches. At least I don't remember seeing it in the feature match. Yeah, everything else though looks pretty good. Good job, Michael.
Mhm. Good job. Okay, in the rest.
Oh!
What?
Oh my god, sorry. I didn't know someone was running it, bro.
Dude, yes, for Eric C was playing Nitro Vayu, and he had more than a few spicy techs in his list. Marcos.
So happy, dude. I've been talking to Albert since I met Albert. I think the day I met Albert, I was like, have you thought about this card in Vayu? Escape from the Dark Dimension is one of the cards that I talked about forever, man. It's been years. And I always knew theoretically it would be really good in a deck that always banishes darks and you wouldn't mind reusing it over and over again. So seeing it even just as a one of is so sick. It's like a mini return. You can hit like your Plague, your Necrogardener, and any of the Vayu pieces and just bring it back. I just feel like that's so incredibly based. Like this is awesome.
Yeah, it makes sense in like the nitro version of the deck because your goal is to just mill and spam out these vanillas as quick as possible. So the return, the escape ends up being live a lot more often with good cards.
I will say on the monsters, this is the exact Nitro Vayu lineup that the Chicago list played, except for it's subbing the 3rd Armageddon Knight for 1 Caius, which the original list did not play. And then it is not playing the same number of draw traps and no upstart goblin. So the original list played 4 draw traps, triple upstart. Instead, he is opting for the main deck Deck Devi, which the original list didn't have, and also the main deck bottomless trap hole, which was completely missing from the main deck.
Oh, that is interesting. So it's a lot different than the more standard Nitro Value of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But still use like the Icarus, like the big power plays of Icarus feel like you're still running 2 of them. So it feels like the essence of it's there, just a little less aggressively Nitro with less draw cards, like only 2 legacy. I think they usually run jars, sometimes 2. Yeah, it makes sense. It's more defensive. It seems like it has a lot more defense and a lot more recursion with that single escape, which it's kind of tight.
Next up, we had a super interesting hero beat list from 902.
So we saw this multiple times on stream. Unfortunately, his only 2 losses were on stream. So that he had so many wins. He was first in Swiss, and his only 2 losses were on stream. Anyway, regardless, every single time one of his spicy cards came out, It was absolutely exciting. One, we Crystal Seer, not the most like, it's not as common in Hero Beat, but it's a great water. It's a great way to draw. But it also trained the opponents to think that whatever he set was a Crystal Seer. So every single time he set the Morphing Jar, he got a ton of value off of it. It was absolutely insane. Pair that with the double Scrap Iron Scarecrow, which surprisingly did a lot to mitigate damage, paired significantly well with your if you want, you could protect your Morphing Jar with only a few back row, then like set all your stuff, then flip Morphing Jar on your turn. And
Ocean
then most
as
importantly,
well.
the ocean. Yeah, the most importantly, he told me like after the fact that like the idea was the ocean combo, and he was able to pull that off multiple times and was able to recycle Stratos like at least 4 or 5 times throughout the tournament, getting a pop, getting another search is absolutely incredible little tech there. As a person that plays Pac-Man and Gemini at times, Scrap Iron Scarecrow has made its appearance in some of my decks, so I'm a fan. The Dark Bribe, though, I'm not too much of a fan of, but it clearly worked out for him. He got top 8 here, so I think that's fascinating.
And another thing that worked out, speaking of two of cards, if you watch the stream, the double Starlight Road absolutely cooked. I think it was against Michael, and we were kind of talking about how the idea of double Starlight Road, where it's like the first one, you can maybe expect against a back row heavy deck, but you never expect the second one to get flipped on you. And that's exactly what happened in that matchup where I think Michael went for Black Rose, that got hit with Starlight Road, and then later on in the game, he flipped up Heavy Storm to try to go for a push, and that second Starlight Road absolutely popped off. And I imagine with the double Scrap Iron Scarecrow playing two of cards that people are usually only prepared to see one of can definitely catch people off guard. And in general, 902, he's a very, very good player. You can tell just by watching like his body language and the way that he plays the game. Just trades really favorably with his opponent's cards. And this seems like the perfect deck to be able to do that.
Yeah, Swagger told me he's topped 5 YCSs back in the day, and he's kind of just coming back into the Edison fold. So super happy to have a powerful duelist back in the SoCal mix. Yeah, I mean, I know I want to talk on this deck a little bit more because I think it's so interesting that the predominant hero beat variants that we see are either diva hero beat, so no divas in this deck, or usually when they're not playing divas, they're playing skill drain, and this is just completely balking that trend. His profile is on Swagger's channel. He credits a online duelist who kind of like built the core of this deck. So go watch Swagger's video on his channel, and you can see and probably ask the guy in the Hero Beat Discord about how he kind of came to this list. So really, really cool. I mean, side deck, ton of 3-ofs, looking like a modern side deck at its finest.
The one last thing that you noted that there's no honest, and I see where they're coming from with this because they're only running the three, like they're just running the 3 aliases, no like Thunder Kings, no Sidras, not even Sidras in the side deck. I do think if you found space for like a DD Warrior Lady or Sidras, then maybe Honest could maybe show up in the side deck. But I totally get how dead Honest may have been if you're not running any of those other lights. So I kind of respect that decision. I think I would still try to find space for like one low key though, but I think it's overall a really good list.
All right, and rounding out 5th through 8th, it was Televisual playing Zombies, the new hotness.
So Televisual's only 2 losses were to Jake XO, but besides that, like we saw him on stream, his deck absolutely popped off. It was just it's such an interesting brew. It's this, I think it's pretty similar to an instant tele zombie deck that recently topped I think RBET or won RBET. It has a lot of, we didn't even see, I didn't even know he was on Diva. We saw only the tele monsters, like we saw him search Krebins, we saw him special summon Krebins off of E-Tele. We didn't even know he was, like I didn't know he was on Diva. I don't know if you did.
I've never seen a
Um,
deck run both, so to me this is new. I'm sure someone's done it, but this is the first time I've seen it.
I was going
yeah,
to say, this is kind of a trend that I've been seeing a lot on ladder. And I think that there's a few topping lists from major events. I think particularly like online tournaments. It might even be from Televisual that feature Diva and the Psychic package. And I love the idea where these zombie lists are going, where there's been this debate of is diva zombies better or is like psychic zombies better? And now we're just saying, why don't we just play both of them? And then you don't miss the other one. You just play all of the good tuners, and Diva's great. Psychic package is great. Utility is fantastic. Obviously pairs really well with the instant fusions, and the synergies are there. So to me, I just like seeing that we're just adding both packages in.
Yeah, zombies is so custom. Like, I know Zabo played triple Book of Life and he's on two. That's a card when I've played zombies, it's like the best card when it's live, but when it's dead in the early game, it feels really bad. So I don't hate cutting that to two. And some other zombie tech that is played a lot, Foolish Burial, Call of the Haunted, are notably absent in this deck. So just opting for different choices. And I wanted to also note that in the side deck, he's opting for Darkfire Dragon, when I know a lot of people usually play Carbonala Warrior. Kind of like one of those minor things like, are you scared of Quakimaru Drago or are you not? Because if you're not, Darkfire's better because it fuels your dad. But like if you want to respect it, then you can play the warrior, the Earth Warrior. So just some like I just feel like zombies so custom, so interesting.
Yeah, the 41. I wonder what the 41st card was when he was building this. Maybe it was the Reaper, maybe it was the Tomato. Who knows? I do like how it just looks so clean. The 20 monsters, 10 spells, almost 10 traps. Like, it's very well thought out, very good. Hopefully, it seems like he had a pretty good run if he didn't run to like any like deck dev decks. I feel like it seems a little susceptible to that, but otherwise, I think it's overall just a really clean zombie list.
Okay, cracking into what I think is maybe, I don't know. There's a couple really awesome decks in the top four here, but this one I'm really excited about. It's the boy Victor on Valley Vayu. Basically, Nitro Vayu with triple Cyber Valley in the main deck.
We saw Nitro Vayu, and Victor said we need to draw more. The upstarts, the legacies are not enough. I need Cyber Valley, Upstart, and actually looking at the ratios, it's kind of hilarious that it's just like randomly, like we're playing 3 Valley, only 2 Upstart, and then 1 Legacy. And we're just getting all these different draw cards. Obviously, Miracle Dig is really cool tech as well. I'm sure, I don't know the exact text. I'm sure you guys do, but it's basically Burial, right?
So much worse. It's
It's not basically Burial. I should rephrase that.
like, yeah, it is basically Burial in terms of what it does. Like, it brings back 2 banished
Three.
monsters. It brings back 3. Okay, but it requires you to have 5 or more, right?
Yep,
Is that
yep.
like the requirement?
Mhm.
So unlike Burial, where Burial can just like you can banish Vayu and Sirocco, then activate Burial immediately, it requires a ton of banishing. But I think that's why this deck is so sick, because you have the Cyber Valleys to help increase that banish pile naturally. So it just, in this particular build, it just becomes a second Burial for sure. I think the coolest part about Cyber Valley for me, because I love I think Cyber Valley is such a cool card. There's that one YouTube channel that always throws Cyber Valley on it. Like, me and him would agree, it's a great card. And one of the best reasons to run is that you're always allowed to run Mind Control. Like, Mind Control is a card that is really broken in this format, especially if you have tuners. In this deck, you have 2 tuners, but that's usually the only way to convert off of Mind Control. The other way to convert is Cyber Valley. So if you open up that Cyber Valley Mind Control combo, especially against like a Hamster, a Raikou, any set monster, a Crystal Seer, even if you're running against that 902's deck, like, that's just absolute incredible value. So I just think this deck is tight, man. I think this deck is super freaking, like, look at it. It's 20, 10, 10. Look, he chose the Legacy, I bet you, because on Dueling Book, it would have been 11 spells. And he probably was like, wait, how do I make this 10, 10, 20?
Yeah, the Cyber Valley is so interesting because immediately when I thought about it off first rip, I was thinking, damn, like, is your deck gonna be a little normal summon reliant? But if you think about the Nitro Vayu deck and what it cuts like triple Raikou and double Hamster, right? So it actually loses a lot of the normal summons that you would normally play. He also cut Trooper, which is kind of insane. So he's replacing like a bunch of normal summons with Valley. And Valley is just like a good normal summon that can like stall and kind of draw you into your power plays. The Miracle Dig, the return plays are just insane as soon as you get the Valleys in the mix. And then it's just also like an Omega Dream. If you summon Armageddon Knight, send something, and then the next turn you Valley banish it. It's just like so much value. So really cool. Also, the biggest thing that I didn't notice at first is there is no Royal Oppression in the 55 of these cards.
Yeah, you're right.
I
That's
love that.
actually nuts.
Valueless should consider doing that more often.
Please,
Cut it
yeah.
completely. Yeah.
You'll
I
get
think that
top
was a really
4.
smart choice to remove the royal oppression completely. But I guess what do you think the logic is for doing that?
From talking to him a little bit, and you guys will be able to watch the profile. I don't know if we'll publish the profile first or this, but his deck is a little more like explosive on the power plays with the Miracle Dig, and a lot of the power plays revolve around Plague Spreader Zombie. And like he was just saying like he didn't think he needed it, and like it's interesting. Like I feel like it should still be there. He said I can't get mad at anyone for running it, but because it's just broken. And he did notably say he did not play against Gladiator Beasts at this tournament, which made me smile a little bit because I was thinking, yeah, that's definitely a matchup where you'd want it.
That's super fascinating. That's a really cool insight. The side deck seems pretty normal otherwise. The fissure makes sense because you're super dead to consecrated. Gives you a second out to it outside of brain and mind control. And then yeah, the one deck dev is also interesting because you can turbo out deck devable monsters, but I guess he was just like, I'll see it when I see it. And it works out. I like the Cyber Dragons as well. Cyber Dragons actually synergizes pretty well with this deck because you have the Cyber Valleys. It usually feels weirder to run Cyber Dragon when you don't have like the Caius conversion. It's still like just a generally good card. So I like it. I like this list. I also really like Miracle Dig, and I really hope that people keep cooking with that in value because it just seems kind of broken in theory, you know?
All right. In third place, we had Grant with just a more typical Vayu Turbo deck. There's always got to be one. I don't know if we have much to say about this.
Yeah, probably not a whole lot. He cut a hamster Sork, went down to 40. Main deck the Solemn. Side deck looks standard. He cut a
Yeah.
Cyber Dragon to add the second Dyna, I think.
I don't know if this is actually how it went down, but obviously Albert's like our value player. I was like searching for what card got cut because it's like, okay, this is clearly not 41 cards. And I love how Albert hops in and is like immediately locks in like, oh, these 2 cards got cut from the main deck. This card's not in the side deck.
Vayu
And he
Turbo-
Dude, I just
immediately-
live and breathe Vayu.
Yeah, the more standard Vayu Turbo is pretty solved. I don't think there's anything much to say here. Like, it's a great deck. Shout out Grant for piloting it all the way to third place. Congratulations. It's
Hey,
I mean, it's a
also
good deck.
Grant, usually a frog player. I feel like that should be pointed out. I see him playing frogs all the time. We'd love to have you back, Grant, but also congratulations on the top with Vayu Turbo.
Yeah, we
Wait, does
love
that mean
versatility.
Blackwings not a single standard Blackwing deck topped?
That's correct. No Blackwings, no frogs.
Wow, okay,
It's
that
glorious.
wasn't mentioned in the match. That's actually crazy. But there were significantly less Blackwing entrants, so I guess that makes sense. But okay.
In second place, we have the man, the myth, the legend, the best Yu-Gi-Oh player, NA, Jake EXO, on his patented 41 Twilight list.
This is the list. This is the list that's been terrorizing me on Dueling Book ever since it started just going on a complete tear. I feel like people love playing this list. They love playing the DD Crows, the Kaikus. I think Snipe Hunter is Jake EXO's like personal pick for the additional Dark Monster. I've seen lists just play, other cards like an extra Crow or Kaiku or even Caius as well. But Snipe Hunter's hilarious. I don't know if we got any cool moments on stream. I know that Jake XO, he rolled a dice like 5 times trying to pop a back row, and I think he rolled
That was for
five
Celestia. Yeah.
times in a row. Yeah. So, but that has nothing to do with Snipe Hunter. But I mean, if he's got that luck to roll a 5 times in a row, then Snipe Hunter seems like it'd actually be pretty good for him. So he's just a great guy, fantastic player. It was really great seeing him on stream. I love this list. I'm trying to build my own little side version of this for when I don't feel like playing frogs. But yeah, I love to see this get second place.
My 2 cents is that the 41 thing is kind of just interesting to me, in a deck that wants to like draw and hit those power cards. And whenever I play like a deck with so few traps, it's like at some point I'm like, I just want to play no traps that make my opponent's back row move alive. So like the one Mirror Force is like the only thing where I look at it and I'm like, is that necessary? But I mean, it's undeniable that if you set it and they don't have their back row removal and you could protect your milling, it's like almost an auto win. So you can't really hate on it. It's Mirror Force at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's so funny to me because he does have the side deck treacherous trap hole. So in my head, I'm like, why don't I just main deck that? But
I think it's just
I
Dust
get
Shoot
it.
too good.
I know Dust Shoot's too good. That's literally the only reason I think he would. If Dust Shoot was banned in this format, he 100% just main decks treacherous and then puts Mirror in the side, and we're all calling it a day. But yeah, this deck is super sick. Everybody plays it on DB. It's actually kind of annoying how much people play this particular exact build on DB all the time. You see the Snipe Hunter, you just know. But hell yeah, dude, Jake, it was really cool finally meeting you. It was so funny. I DM'd him after the fact. I was like, we're friends in Discord, right? We played in War League, and he was like, wait, what? Like, he didn't even realize, but he was just super happy to be there. He was an absolute vibe, super cool dude in person, and literally went essentially XO in Swiss and just lost it all at the end. That's like the hurt to see it. Let's see what beat him.
So, in first place, we had
Oh my God.
Tyler. We've dubbed him the Great Warrior because he brought something that I have never seen before, Chaos Stun, and took it all the way to first place. This deck is Jank Series certified. You can play this deck in I Am Nerds tournaments if you want. I just can't believe that this was able to come all the way and get first. It's amazing.
Yeah.
This is like the in Team Starlight fashion. Like, we just cannot allow Black Wings or Vayu Turbo or Hero Frogs to win an event. It has to be some weird shit. And I guess this isn't weird in the sense that it is basically anti-meta, but Tyler had to play and beat a lot of really good opponents to get to first place. He obviously played against Jake XO in the finals and was able to win that match, but I believe he also had a feature match with 902, who, like Marco said, multiple YCS, he's got the prestige to back up his it's just crazy
he
to
was
me.
featured in the last 3 rounds. We had because Tyler won his top 8 match against 902. Then he had another top 8 match against, what was it, the Vayu? Was it the Miracle Vayu?
Yep, the Nitro Miracle Vayu.
Yeah, so like he was up against some really strong competitors. On top of the fact that he went 6-1 in Swiss, absolutely crushing so many people every time he was on camera.
Even Keegan.
Yeah, he knocked out Keegan. The coolest part about this list in general was just how resilient it was. It's so simple. Like, it really is a simplified, like, my monster is gonna stick, and my monster does an annoying effect. And like, not every monster is good against everything. Like, Breaker was not great against Lightsworn, but Thunder King was, and Kaiku was. But Thunder King wasn't good versus Vayu, but Breaker was, and so was Kaiku. Like, vice versa. Like, there was always like a 2/3 or three-quarters of your monsters were good into the matchup, and that's just enough. And Breaker was never like bad. You know what I mean? Like, it was never they're all just big beaters. So that was the thing that we noticed the most. He just kept winning off of life points. Like, he'd be down in card advantage, but his opponent would be like at 100 life. So all it took was just like a Honest off the top, a Shrink off the top, a Smashing Ground off the top, and it was just over. So
yeah, I think that there was a few people in the comments like discrediting this. It's just like, oh, this is just anti-meta. But like, if you really think about it, like, anti-meta takes so many different forms, and like, usually you see Phosphodyna in the main, usually you see Floodgates in the main, like Skill Drain or Royal Oppression. So I actually find that this to be a really unique take. The Sork we saw put in work for him, the Caius as well, something that is a bit unique. And I think the big thing that I took away from this deck watching it, besides like just how good all these like big these floodgates are, like Kaiku obviously in top 8, I would say he had a pretty good matchup spread in the people that he did face. But the The monster stats, like when I was watching him play, just summoning 1900 beat sticks and 1800 beat sticks and the breakers a lot of time had the counters and honest backing up the light monsters. Like I just really felt like, it harkened back to old Yu-Gi-Oh! Where it was just like my monsters are just bigger than yours and you have to like expend resources to summon big guys and I'll just out that with a trap or a shrink or a smashing ground and my monsters will just like rule the day.
I would also like to say that I played this exact list on Dueling Book today, and I got to experience that pain that I'm sure everyone else that played against Tyler felt, where I just lost in the most boring way possible, where, like you said, Declan, I was just getting beaten down every turn. I know in the profile that we have on the channel with Tyler, he was talking about some of the interactions, and it did come up in my match where my opponent had Kaiku. He attacked my Ryza, and then he played Shrink and banished my Treeborn Frog. So those little interactions seem really fun. Like I think Shrink is a very he himself said that it was a very underutilized card, and it just throws people off, and it's really really good. I think it's solving the problem of like, yes, you have these 1900 beaters, 1800 beaters with Kaiku that are good, but sometimes you do need to get over stuff like Monarchs or Siroko's, which can be very common. And having the Shrinks and the Smashing Grounds just, it makes it so hard to deal with taking basically a quarter of your life every single turn.
When you think about the top 5 decks being, I guess, Frogs, GBs, the 2 bird decks, and what am I missing? Lightsworn. I would say that this deck has a solid Lightsworn, Vayu, and GB matchup. Like all your monsters are just huge. The Blackwing matchup is okay because you have the Thunder King is actually pretty good. Having access to Honest and Triple Breaker and Triple Warrior Lady, Cyber Dragon. It's not the worst. I would say that the one deck that I think Frogs would be strong into this deck, apart from the Kaiku. It's not the strongest, but when you look at his side deck, it seemed pretty prepared. Triple Phosphodina, DD Crow, Soul Release, double pulling the rug, like double
It's just
oppression.
frog. It's just for the frogs,
Yeah,
man.
so he was prepared in the side for the frogs, and I know he didn't see very many frogs in his tournament run, but I mean it showed that like his main deck was just so strong against the rest of the field. So, dude, huge congrats to Tyler. Just what an amazing run. Last thing before you go, I wanted to shout out the craziest hex of the day. This will be something in future Team Starlight tournaments. We always want to shout out the spice. So quickly, Mateen for coming through with Swallow's Nest in the main deck of his Blackwing deck allows you to get your monsters to the graveyard and be really aggro, like tributing your monsters in battle phase, or bring out Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. Super super cool, again, tech card that can be used to basically stop your opponent from special summoning. I found that to be extremely cool. Manuel with the Sea Koala in his X-Saber deck. I don't know about this one, but I've never seen this played in a deck in my life, so pretty awesome.
There was a point where like it was used in the XYZ when XYZs were a thing. Like this was seeing a lot of use because you can synchro into that one like beast guy, but that's the only time I've ever seen it. And I hate that it's not a water. I hate that it's an earth. That's all I'm gonna say.
Wait, what? Sea koala, the earth monster.
Yeah.
I mean, its effect is okay, but it's just like, why is its stats so shite? The Christopher was siding DD Crazy Beast in his Machina cat deck. This is an interesting target that can maybe run something over in battle. I have no idea what he would want to decide this for, but never seen Crazy Beast in an Edison deck before.
I mean, maybe they have a Treeborn just chilling there. They banish it. Boom.
And then, of course,
Oh yeah, that's the
Victor.
spiciest one.
I mean, this one was the spiciest one and actually saw success. So it just goes to show that you can mix it up and bring spice, and it can lead you to success.
I will say, the Escape from a Different Dimension not being here feels like you hate that card, but it's okay.
You don't
Anyway,
even know what
thank
it's called. It's Escape from the Dark Dimension.
Wow, you don't even know what it's called.
It is.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for watching our top 8 deck lists for the Team Starlight Edison tournament. If we do host another one, we will announce it on our channel. Potentially, we'll host even online tournaments because that could logistically just be a little bit more straightforward to do. But regardless, just stay tuned and subscribe to keep up with any of the updates we have. And any of these tournaments we have in the future will also be live streamed. So ring that bell so you can see when we're going live, and we'll do more stuff like that in the future. But to everyone that showed up to our tournament, thank you once again for being there. It was a fun, fantastic, great day.